I can sense it. Oh my God. Something's changing. The glory of the Lord is in this place. I can sense it. Can you sense it? I can sense it. My God. Something's changing. Glory of the Lord is in this place. My God. Okay, yes. I love this song. I listen to it every day. But I wanted to share this dream, this prophetic dream I had on last night. Before I went to bed last night, of course I prayed. But I went to bed with some questions, questioning God about some things, about some decisions that I know in my spirit that God had me to do. But you know how sometimes your flesh can get in the way and have you questioning what God has spoken to your spirit. So I prayed and I went to sleep. So in my dream, it was me and my daughter, right? She was in a stroller. I wasn't in the car. I was walking. Me and her walked from where I live to the other side of town where this other individual lives. We went there, right? So, got there to where this person lived, was in the room, and as usual, in their awakening life, as so in this dream, was clashing with this individual, getting into it with this individual. I'm talking about getting into it. That's normal, as usual, as usual. And it seemed like everybody that was in the house, that lives in that house as well, in the awakening life, it seemed like I was clashing with them as well. So I decided, you know what, it's time for me to go. I got up, grabbed my daughter, put her back in the stroller, and I walked on out of the house and started walking back, on my way back to go home. Okay? So on my way walking, I was like, you know what? I'm talking like, God, this is it. This is it. I got my answer. I got my confirmation that I needed. This is it. I'm going to obey you. I'm not going to look back. I'm going to continue to move forward. I'm just saying this to myself in the dream as I'm walking with my daughter to go back home. And so as I'm saying this, I would walk past a store. I was walking past this convenience store, right? And there were people in there just like literally screaming, pushing each other, trying to get out the store. And I saw an individual holding a gun. I mean, it was like a mess going on. I'm just looking like, oh my God, what is going on? It was coming out screaming like, oh my God. But me and my daughter, we just continued. I was like, oh wow, okay. And I kept walking. Walked on down. It was like trash all over the ground. You know what I'm saying? As we were walking, it was just chaotic. On our way home, on our walk home, it was just chaos everywhere. And as I got up to the intersection to get ready to cross over to the side where, that leads to my house where I live, the traffic was just like, I'm talking about rushing past. Like me and my daughter had to like run in the center, where the cars would get into the center. So in the center of the road, so they can turn into, where they want to turn into, like a store or a local business or a bank or whatever. We stood in the center of that, intersection or whatever, and the cars was just zooming by. I'm talking about, it was just chaotic. So finally, once the way was clear for us to cross the street, we went on across the street, and so we got across the street, and I mean everything looks just as it is, where we live over here by Old National Highway. We got across the street and was walking through the parking lot of the bank up here, on Old National. There was this guy. He was picking up trash and stuff off the ground, and there was a young lady. She was trying to pick it up too, but he had already got it, and he was selling it to people. And I can hear this guy saying, "How much you want for that?" And I heard the guy who had this stuff. It was stuff off the ground. He said, I'm selling it for $30. And the girl was like, man, you took that from me. And so they started getting into it with each other. He was like, man, blah, 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 blah. They was going back and forth. And I was like, oh my God. I kept on walking. Okay, as I was saying, okay, I got across the street or whatever, and I saw this guy picking up this stuff off the ground, and then he got it before the young lady can get it or whatever. And then he proceeded to sell it to somebody for $30. And the young lady got upset about it because she was like, I saw it first. You took it from me. So they got into it, right? So after that, I was like, oh my God, like what is going on? So I kept walking. And then somebody said something to me. I cannot remember why. I know it was somebody I didn't recognize, somebody I didn't know, but they said something smart to me. So I'm like, who you talking to? Blah, 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 blah. So we kind of exchanged some words or whatever. So at this point, I'm like, man, oh my God. I started doubting. Oh my God, my God. I started doubting. This spirit of doubt came over me. Like, man, all this stuff going on. Maybe I should have stayed. Maybe I should never walked away. Maybe I should have never left. I started questioning my decision. I'm like, I know when I left that house away from that individual, I know that there was God saying enough is enough. It's time to move on. It's time to let this go. I know that, but then the spirit of doubt came because on my journey back home, it was so much chaos going on. So I'm starting to doubt, did I make the right decision? my. But keep in mind now, before I went to sleep, I was praying because a spirit of doubt came over me. So I prayed to God about this, and it showed up in my dream. God gave me the prophecy and gave me the answer. So, but anyways, so I'm walking on. And so when this spirit of doubt came over me, I picked up my phone to call the individual, right, that I had left from seeing, before I was on my way back home. And every time I tried to dial that person's number, my phone would get, the dial was, the numbers was getting stuck. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Then I tried to call them again. And then my phone was shut off. It was like something just kept coming up to where I could not call them. So I'm like, what in the world is going on? After that, me and my daughter continued to keep on walking, and I woke up from the dream. And I'm like, dang, what in the world would that dream about? So I kept thinking about it all, this morning. And then as I was sitting here in prayer and worship, in between my little break or whatever, and I was doing some studying, and God was like, are you ready to see what that dream meant? And God revealed it to me. God said it was all about your prayer before you went to sleep last night and how you was feeling on last night when the spirit of doubt came over you. That part when you went to that house, that was and you and the individual was getting into it or whatever, that was just me just showing you the reality of what's going on anyway. It's chaotic. It's not good for you. That situation is not healthy for you. And when you left, and when everybody else was getting into it with you, that means that, everybody was in that house, and everybody in that house, started getting into it with you as well. That means that when you left there out, not only I want you to break connection with the individual, but break connection with everybody that's connected to this individual. My God. And then God showed me, he said, and when you was walking away and when you said, you know what, this is it for me, I'm done. I know this is not the will of God for me. That was you speaking prophecy, speaking to yourself, letting yourself know this is not good for you. You were speaking everything out of your mouth that I was already trying to show you, and everything I was always and already trying to tell you. And then God said all the chaos that was going on around you, my God, as you was heading back home, from the people at the store getting into it, the people had the gun, from all the trash all on the ground, to the busy intersection that you had to cross, to the woman and the man getting into it with each other over this stuff they was trying to sell, and with you having an encounter, oh my God, with this individual or whatnot that you got into it with. All that was spiritual warfare, because you were moving forward. You were walking in obedience. You was walking away from something that, oh my God, Jesus. You was walking away from something that the enemy was using to keep you bound. You was walking away from something that the enemy been using all this time to keep you from moving forth into your purpose and to the blessing that I have for you and to your assignment. My God. And then God said when that spirit of doubt came up on you, you tried to go back to the familiar. You tried to go back to the individual. You tried to go back to the situation because you was doubting. But God said when you was trying to dial the number in the phone and it kept messing up and you couldn't get the number through, that was me blocking it. Because once you walk out of this situation, once you decided to move forward, I closed the door. But God said that was me shutting the door. That was me closing it. It's done. It is finished for good. There is no going back. And then he reminded me, oh my God, of the children of Israel when they stood at the Red Sea. My Lord, and how they had the army of Pharaoh following them, trying to, all this chaos, trying to kill them, trying to get them, because they had, God had allowed them to escape slavery. And when the Red Sea opened up and they was able to walk through on, with water on both sides, once they got through on the other side, God said he shut the sea. He closed the waters so they couldn't go back. No matter if they wanted to go back or not, they could not go back. Now, if they wanted to go back, they get in that water, they're going to die. So they couldn't go back. So God was letting me know that phone call that I was trying to make, it would not go through. He was allowing me not to be able to dial that number. He kept making the phone shut off, kept allowing the numbers on my dial thing to get stuck, because God said it is finished. It is done. I have closed that door. I have closed that chapter for good. You have no other choice but to move on. You have no other choice but to move forward. It is finished. Now, let's be about your Father's business. Now, let's walk into your purpose. Now, let's walk into your assignment. You heard me right, my God, and you obeyed, and I'm going to bless you for your obedience. So I'm so grateful. I am so thankful. Listen, I just want to share this with you guys. Listen, when God asks you to walk away from something, and when God closed the door to something, don't look back. Don't go back. I don't care how much it hurts. I don't care how uncomfortable it is to walk away from the comfortability that you were getting in that relationship, at that job, and that habit that you had, or whatever the case may be. I don't care how comfortable it was. If it is for you to get uncomfortable to walk away into something greater, you better get uncomfortable, and so that you can move forward. Do you understand me? Because God is a man of purpose. God is a man of order. Yes, I am a miracle. Lord, I've been praying, ask God to let me be the miracle, and he has allowed me to be the miracle. Because when I tell you, he has broke some things off my life. He has saved me from some messed up situations, some things that could have really went bad, some things that I could have really settled for, and I would have lost. Oh my God, I would have lost everything that God was trying to give me. I would have lost everything that he was trying to do through me, because I had to understand that it was not just for me, and it was not just through me, but it was for my whole generation. It was for my whole bloodline, and I almost ruined it. Staying stuck in some that I had no business in, staying stuck in a situation, staying stuck at a particular job, staying stuck in a particular relationship that God never ordained, staying stuck in old habits and old ways, staying stuck in an old mindset. All that could have caused me to lose everything that God is trying to do. Could have lost everything, and could have lost this new thing that God has brought into my life. And it all ties back into Ruth and Naomi. Naomi became bitter because of what had happened, because she had lost her sons and her husband. And she, even though she didn't stay stuck physically in the place that it happened in, she moved forward, but she stayed stuck in that place mentally. But thank God for Ruth, for being faithful and for being loving and caring and being patient with her. And also for Ruth deciding that I'm going to leave this behind physically and mentally, and I'm going to move on and move forward into something greater. And she stayed focused on the cause, stayed focused on God, a God that she didn't even serve, a God that her people didn't even serve, but she was willing to walk away from her familiar into unfamiliar, to serve a God that she never even knew. And he blessed her. He blessed her with Boaz in the same field that she was gleaning behind reapers. She ended up owning it, and then she ended up giving birth, oh my God, to a son, Obed, that will later through his lineage, produced the Savior of the world. So I'm telling you, God has something greater and bigger in mind, but you have to walk away from what he's calling you out of so that you can walk into, my Lord, what he is bringing you into for a greater call, a greater purpose, and a greater blessing. My God, may y'all be blessed. Okay? Let it go.